12. Ruthless Rules for becoming the strongest version of yourself. There is a hard truth that everyone must face. Most people live their entire lives in weakness. They avoid suffering, chase comfort, indulge their small desires, and trade their inner strength for a fleeting sense of peace. They let time slip away and the world impose itself. And in the end, they wonder why they have no power, freedom, or trace left behind after their life has passed. But if you are listening to these words, it means a part of you has already rejected that path. A part of you longs to break through, to train yourself until you can no longer be subdued. Stoicism calls this the building of an inner fortress, not to fight the world, but to no longer be so easily swayed by the winds of circumstance. Marcus Aurelius once wrote that the strongest man is not the one who rules an external kingdom, but the one who masters his own mind. Seneca reminded us that time is not lacking. What is lacking is urgency in how we live. Epictetus, born into slavery, became a free philosopher because he understood that no one can steal the strength of your will unless you give it to them. From this root, the Ruthless Rules were born. Not to make you suffer more, but to forge you into steel. Not to turn you into someone cold and unfeeling, but to free you from being a slave to emotions, the crowd, and the randomness of fate. This is the path that the Stoics walked thousands of years ago, and today, you too stand at that threshold. See this as both an invitation and a challenge. The 12 ruthless rules you are about to hear are not meant for everyone. They are for those who are ready to destroy the old version of themselves, to face the truth, to endure the pain of discipline, and to be reborn as someone completely different, someone who cannot be shaken easily, who no longer lives to please, but who lives as an untouchable fortress. If you are looking for comfort, stop here. But if you long to become the strongest version of yourself, keep walking, because this journey does not promise ease, but will give you something the world cannot give you, true strength. And before we begin, make sure to subscribe so you do not miss this training path, where each lesson will be another stone laid in the building of your fortress. Rule 1. The power of resilience. In life, no one escapes adversity. Sooner or later, every person must face loss, failure, betrayal, or pain they never wished for. The problem is not whether adversity arrives, but how you respond when it does. This is the first foundation of a Stoic life, the power of resilience. Marcus Aurelius once wrote in Meditations that if you find yourself collapsing before hardship, remember that you are not crushed by the event itself, but by the judgment you attach to it. This means adversity can only break you if you allow it to. True strength does not come from avoidance. It comes from standing back up, facing reality, and learning from pain. Epictetus, once an enslaved person, knew this better than anyone. He lost physical freedom, but never the freedom of his spirit. They could bind his body, but they could not chain his mind. That resilience transformed him from a man with nothing into a philosopher whose voice echoes through thousands of years. It proves that resilience is not a privilege. It is a choice. The power of resilience is the ability to turn pain into a lesson, failure into a stepping stone, and loss into the raw material of strength. When everything falls apart, the Stoic does not ask, "Why me?" He asks, "What can I do with this?" That question alone shifts the path from victim to master. In practice, you can begin to train resilience with small steps. Instead of complaining each time you face hardship, write down 3 things you learned from it. Each time you face rejection, see it as a chance to practice patience. Each time a plan collapses, treat it as a test of creativity to find another way. Gradually, you will realize that adversity no longer breaks you. It fuels you. Resilience is like a muscle. It grows only when tested. If you always avoid pain, you will be fragile when the storm comes. But you will become as solid as stone if you dare to face, endure, and walk through. Seneca reminded us that the more a person is tested, the greater the chance to grow strong. No warrior is forged in comfort. No steadfast soul matures in ease. Picture two people. One avoids all hardship, hides in false safety, and blames circumstance whenever he fails. The other welcomes challenge as part of life, learns to rise after each fall, and uses pain to sharpen himself. The first will remain a victim. No matter how many times he falls, the second will eventually walk with steady feet. Which one will you become? Resilience is the foundation of all other strengths. Without it, discipline breaks, focus scatters, and legacy disappears. The world never promises ease. It will test you, push you, sometimes crush you. But in that moment, you can prove what you are made of. And this is where the journey continues. Once you have learned how to rise after falling, you need a cord to keep you from repeating mistakes and drifting into indulgence. That cord is called discipline, and that is the following ruthless rule. Rule 2. Discipline, true freedom. If resilience is the foundation that helps you rise after hardship, then discipline is the chain that keeps you from falling back into the same pit. Without discipline, resilience is only a spark that quickly fades. With discipline, you become a steady step forward every time you rise, turning toughness into a way of life. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Do not let your mind wander like a beast loosely chained. Pull it back, bind it to duty." That sentence captures the Stoic spirit. Discipline is not a shackle. It is the foundation of freedom. The undisciplined think they are free when they indulge fleeting desires, but they are prisoners of their cravings. The disciplined live the opposite way. They reject the easy thing now to protect their long-term freedom. Look at modern life. Many people want health, but cannot wake early to train. They want success, but cannot sit down to work daily. They want peace, but let their minds drift through endless distractions. They all know what is right, but lack the discipline to act. Stoicism reminds us of a truth. Knowledge is useless if not practiced. Seneca warned that delay is the most dangerous enemy. Every time you give in to laziness, you hand over your power. Discipline is not something done once, but a repetition every day, whether your feelings agree or not. The Stoic does not wait for inspiration to act. He acts because it must be done. Discipline is also the bridge between goals and achievement. You may dream of a great life, but if you do not wake on time, keep learning, or train self-control, that dream will remain an illusion. Epictetus said, "No man becomes an athlete by thinking about sports. He must train." Life is the same. You only grow stronger by living with discipline, not thinking about it. Practicing discipline can begin with small acts. Rise at the same time each morning. Write your thoughts in a daily journal. Give time for physical training. Control the information you consume. When you hold fast to the small things, you lay the foundation for greater things. One who cannot control small habits cannot command an extraordinary destiny. Picture two people. One lives by emotion, works when inspired, quits when challenged. The other acts, regardless of mood, keep his word to himself, even when no one is watching. The first will remain still. The second step by step, will go further than anyone else. That is the silent yet unbreakable power of discipline. Discipline is not imprisonment. Discipline is freedom. Freedom from the rule of desire. Freedom from the swings of emotion. Freedom to live by reason and values you choose. The outside world pulls the undisciplined. The disciplined steer their own course. When you have discipline, you will see that the most decisive moments do not come from the crowd, but from silence. When you sit alone, with no praise or applause, only you and your discipline. In that solitude, you will see your true nature. And that is the doorway to the following ruthless rule: the power of solitude. Rule 3. The power of solitude. When you have trained resilience to rise after failure and built discipline to walk steadily each day, you will face another challenge: solitude. Many fear it, seeing solitude as a sentence, as a lack. But to the Stoic, solitude is not abandonment, but the forge of inner strength. Marcus Aurelius wrote many journal entries when he was alone, in the dark of the battlefield, with no one left to confide in. Those words were not meant to display to the world, but to keep his own mind from drifting. Seneca once said, "When a man cannot find peace within himself, he will search for it outside in vain." That captures the Stoic truth. If you cannot learn to stand firm in solitude, you will forever depend on the crowd to fill your emptiness. The power of solitude is facing yourself without the noise around you. When there is no praise, no eyes watching, no applause, what remains? The weak will panic because they see they have nothing but the attention of others. The intense use of solitude to dig deeper into the soul, cut away illusions, and clearly see the weaknesses they usually hide in the crowd. Solitude is also where you find the purest freedom. No one is there to force you to play a role. No one there to please. Only you and the truth. And the truth may hurt, but it is the beginning of strength. Epictetus taught, "Do not fear silence, for you hear your inner voice most clearly in silence." In those moments of solitude, you discover what you truly want, fear, and genuinely need to change. In practice, you can train solitude by setting aside fixed time each day to be alone, with no phone, no social media, and no other people. Please write down your thoughts. Let your mind reveal itself fully. Walk alone without music. Listen to the sound of your own reflection. These small moments are where you build the most profound bond with yourself. Imagine two people. One cannot bear a minute of silence, always needing noise, needing validation to feel alive. The other can sit alone for hours, calm, clear, steady. Who is freer? Who is harder to break? The answer is clear. The one who uses solitude is the one who no longer depends on the world to confirm his worth. Solitude in the eyes of the Stoic is not emptiness, but the space to gather energy. You compress yourself like a furnace, so when you step out, you radiate a power nothing can block. When that energy has been collected, the next lesson is to master, direct, and release it in the right place and time. Because if energy runs wild, it will carry you away. That is why you must step into the following ruthless rule: mastery of your energy. Rule 4. Mastery of energy. You will realize a truth after you learn to stand firm in solitude. The energy within you is not infinite. It is like a fire. It can warm an entire room, but if left to spread uncontrolled, it can burn everything down. The one who cannot master energy will constantly be drained. The Stoic learns to command it like a general commands his soldiers. Epictetus once said that not things outside disturb us, but the way we use our minds. The same is true with energy. You may have talent and willpower, but if you let your energy leak into meaningless arguments, toxic relationships, or worries that never come to pass, then you will have nothing left for what truly matters. Look at daily life. How often have you woken with strength, only to lose it within hours because you were pulled into chaotic news, pointless comments online, or people who only want to drag you down? Energy is wealth, yet most spend it like wasteful men, never saving it for the long road ahead. Mastering energy in the Stoic sense begins with cutting away. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that if something does not serve the community or the true nature of man, it should be let go. Each time you are tempted to enter a needless debate, ask yourself, does this help me live with virtue? Each time you prepare to bind yourself to a person or a habit, ask whether this adds a stone to my mind's fortress. If the answer is no, cutting it away is the right act. In practice, mastery of energy begins with small choices. Rise early and give your morning to the most important work. Instead of letting yourself scatter, train your body to release negative energy. Stay silent before provocation instead of reacting by instinct. Each choice is a declaration. My energy is not cheap. Not everyone has the right to take it. Picture two warriors. One carries endless weapons but fires them aimlessly, leaving himself empty before the decisive battle. The other carries fewer, but each arrow is loosed at the right time and place. Who wins? Strength does not come from how much energy you have, but from how well you command and direct it. When you master energy, your presence changes. You do not need many words. Others feel the weight of your power in your stride, your silence, and how your eyes fix on your aim. Because your energy no longer leaks away, it gathers, and that gathered force makes others take notice. However, mastery of energy is not only about holding it back, it is also about knowing where to send it. If energy only builds without release, it becomes a burden. The only place worthy of your deepest energy is your inner fortress, the mind. And that is why the following ruthless rule takes you to the battlefield. Building an untouchable mind. Rule 5. Build your mind as a fortress. When you have learned to command your energy, the next question is, where will you direct it? A substantial body can withstand the storms of life. But if the mind is weak, then even a single insult, a minor setback, can bring you to your knees. That is why the Stoics saw the mind as the ultimate battlefield, the place that decides whether you live as a free or enslaved person. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Our life is shaped by the thoughts we hold in our mind. If your mind is chaotic, then the whole world will appear disorganized. If your mind is calm, you will have peace, even in the storm." This is why building the mind as a fortress is an unshakable rule for becoming the strongest version of yourself. Picture an ancient fortress. It was not built in a single day. Each stone was laid upon another through the years, each wall thickened, each gate reinforced. Building the mind is the same. It does not come from moments of fleeting inspiration, but from repeated daily habits. Read to expand your vision. Write to reflect on your inner self. Meditate to observe your thoughts without being dragged by them. Train your body so discipline flows into both mind and flesh. An untrained mind is like an unlocked door. Anyone can walk in carrying mockery, insult, scorn, and you react like a puppet. But when your mind becomes a fortress, you decide what is allowed through its gates. You are no longer moved by praise or blame. News, trends, or trivial fluctuations no longer sweep you away. Epictetus warned that a person who cannot control his thoughts can never be free. A fortress does not mean you suppress all emotions, but turn them into allies. Anger becomes energy for rightful action. Fear becomes careful preparation. Sadness becomes a deeper understanding of human life. The fortress is not numb, it is resilience. In modern life, this truth is more evident than ever when a single phone notification can steal your focus for hours, when a negative comment online can haunt you for an entire day, when one small failure makes you doubt your whole worth. These are signs that the gates of your mind are too easy to breach. and you know what must be done, reinforce them. What have I done today to add a layer of stone to my fortress? 1 page of journaling, 1 focused session without distraction, 1 choice of silence instead of reaction. Each act is a brick. Day after day, the fortress rises, and one day you will realize no wind is strong enough to shake it. But a fortress of the mind becomes fragile if the body is too weak to carry it. A sharp mind trapped in a frail body becomes a prisoner. That is why, after you have fortified the inside, the journey must lead you to the following ruthless rule, where you learn to train the body to turn it into a weapon worthy of your will. Rule 6. Train the body as a weapon. A fortress of the mind needs a strong foundation to stand. That foundation is the body. The mind may command, but if the body is weak, every ounce of will is trapped inside a fragile cage of flesh. The Stoics understood that mind and body must move together to live with true strength. Seneca reminded us that we should not indulge the body, but we must not neglect it. It is the tool through which virtue is practiced. The body is not for display or praise, but the instrument that lets you fulfill duty, pursue goals, and endure hardship. Picture an ancient warrior. He did not need perfect muscles for show. He needed endurance, resilience, and a body ready to withstand cold, hunger, and long campaigns. You do not need to be a professional athlete in the modern world, but you need a body ready to serve your will, to work with persistence, resist collapse from minor illness, and remain upright when pressure mounts. Training the body as a weapon does not mean punishing yourself. It means discipline, choosing to walk instead of staying idle, choosing a healthy meal instead of surrendering to fleeting cravings, and choosing to sleep enough to recover instead of wasting the night on empty pleasures. Each small choice is another stroke sharpening the blade you carry. The body is also where some of the most profound Stoic lessons are learned. Each drop of sweat in training teaches patience. Each ache in the muscles reminds you that hardship is not an enemy, but a teacher. Each session affirms that I do not live to escape discomfort. I live to overcome it. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "Do not pamper the body too much, but train it to serve the soul." The body is not a king, but a war horse. If you neglect it, it will weaken and betray you. If you train it, it will become a loyal servant, carrying you far on the path to your strongest self. In today's world, where so many chase comfort and avoid difficulty, training the body is not just a personal act but a declaration. It shows you refuse to be imprisoned in a weak frame. It shows you are willing to endure discomfort to claim freedom. But physical strength is not only for the present, it ties to the legacy you leave behind. A trained body lets you live longer and gives you the strength to carry out meaningful work and plant seeds for the generations after you. That is why the Ruthless Rules speaks of leaving a mark beyond your life. The Art of Legacy. Rule 7. The Art of Legacy. A substantial body helps you stand firm in hardship. A steadfast mind enables you to master yourself. But if that strength ends only with you, it will vanish when you do. The Stoics knew that true strength is measured by what remains after you are gone. That is legacy. Marcus Aurelius reminded us not to argue about what a good man should be. Be one. And that is the essence of legacy. Promises do not write it. It is not carved by boasting. It is etched by the way you live each day. Think of a forest. A great tree does not rise in a single season. It begins as a small seed, nurtured through years, storms, and harsh Sunday. When it matures, its shade protects countless lives. Human life is the same. You can live only to consume, to enjoy, to seek comfort. But all of that disappears when you do. Or you can live to plant seeds, values, actions, principles that will keep growing long after you are gone. Legacy does not need to be a monument or a name in history books. It can be the integrity you hold in every circumstance, the courage you pass on to your children, the calm you bring to a group when crisis strikes. It may be unseen, but its weight surpasses any wealth. Seneca wrote, "Life is not short because we lack time, but because we waste it." That line is the compass of legacy. The one who builds a legacy does not spend time on the trivial, he invests it in what will last. A book written in truth, an act of integrity when all others compromise, a habit of discipline kept for years. These are the stones laid down to form a path of legacy. In practice, legacy is also a lens that saves you from the temptation of the short term. When you face the easy and right choices, ask yourself, will this act be worthy of being remembered? That question may push you to reject comfort and choose discipline. It may stop you from speaking in anger. It may help you stand tall when the crowd bows down. The art of legacy teaches you to live with consistency. Not one good day followed by 10 wasted days. Not one act of courage followed by a lifetime of compromise. Legacy is born from steady repetition and small acts done repeatedly. That consistency is what gives it weight. But you cannot build a legacy if you let time slip away. The body can be trained, the mind can be fortified, but time, once lost, never returns. That is why the following ruthless rule is about the harshest discipline, commanding time so that you command life. Rule 8. Command time, command life. You can forge the body into steel. You can build the mind into a fortress. You can plant the seeds of legacy. But all of it becomes meaningless if you waste the harshest resource of human life, time. Seneca reminded us that it is not that we have too little time to live, but that we waste too much. His words cut like a blade through illusion. None of us lacks time. What we lack is the urgency in how we use it. Look back at your day. How many hours slip away in distraction, scrolling through useless information, engaging in conversations that go nowhere, or worrying about things you will never control? Each moment lost is a piece of your life, cut away, never to return. Those fragments add up to a mediocre life. The Stoics treated time like a sword. If you hold and use it well, it cuts through every obstacle. If you let it slip, that same sword cuts you down. Commanding time does not mean filling every hour with work. It means ordering it with a clear purpose. Read when the mind must be fed, train when the body must be strengthened, rest when energy must be restored, write when the soul must be examined. Cut away whatever does not serve the path you have chosen. Each morning, Marcus Aurelius asked himself, how will I use my time today to live true to human nature? This is a simple question, yet a compass against chaos. When you treat each moment as a chance to live with virtue, you no longer throw it into the void. Picture time as a river. It never stops flowing. You cannot halt it, nor return to what has passed, but you can choose how to use it. You can drift helplessly into meaningless currents, or use the oar of discipline to steer its flow toward your destination. Here is the harsh truth. No one steals your time. Every minute lost is time you handed over. When you delay, chase approval, and waste it on cheap pleasures, you are not robbed, but surrendering it. The Stoic does not blame others for lost time. He takes responsibility and guards each moment as he guards his own life. And when you learn to command time, something strange happens. You do not just gain more hours to work, you gain more space to breathe, reflect, and live fully in each moment. Time no longer hunts you, it stands beside you as an ally. you draw nearer to a higher state of being untouchable from that mastery. Not because life becomes less harsh, but because you become so steady that nothing can break you. And that opens the door to the following ruthless rule: becoming untouchable. Rule 9. Become untouchable. When you have learned to command time, you hold a power most people will never touch. But there is a higher level, where you control what you do and command how the world can affect you. That state is untouchability. Untouchable does not mean never hurt. It is not numbness, nor is it building walls to hide weakness. Untouchable in the Stoic sense implies that life may throw pain, loss, and betrayal, but none can break who you are inside. Epictetus said, "No one can harm you unless you allow it." This is the core of being untouchable. When someone insults you, they only release sound. When hardship strikes, it is only an outside event. What decides whether you fall or stand is your choice of response. That choice is always yours. Picture a mountain. Storms may bury its slopes, rains may erode its surface. Yet the rock at its core has stood for thousands of years. The Stoic man is the same. The world may change, but he holds to the rock within: virtue, discipline, steadiness. In reality, untouchability is trained through small moments. When insulted, you can react with anger or remain calm. When a plan collapses, you can despair or adapt and keep moving. Each time you choose steadiness, you add another layer of armor to your inner fortress. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that if something outside makes you suffer, the pain does not come from that thing, but from how you see it. That reminder is the Stoic shield. Once you change your view, no outer wound can touch your inner root. Becoming untouchable does not separate you from life. It allows you to engage in it with strength and clarity. You are no longer driven by fear or by the need for approval. You act from values, not from pressure. And when you walk in that state, others feel the weight of your presence. A presence that commands attention without words. But remember, untouchable does not mean absolute isolation. The mountain stands firm, but the surrounding forest makes the landscape grand. The Stoic knows that he must carefully choose who enters his circle after training himself. That opens the door to the ruthless rule: surrounding yourself with strength. Rule 10. Surround yourself with strength. A steady mind helps you stand firm. The state of being untouchable keeps you from being swept away by the world. But the journey to becoming your strongest self is never one of complete solitude. The Stoics knew that who you become depends greatly on who you stand beside. Seneca wrote, "Associate with those who can make you better, and welcome those you can improve." This is the foundation for building a circle of strength. People mirror each other. Walk with the weak, and you will excuse weakness in yourself. Walk with the disciplined, and you will be forced to hold your own discipline. Look at daily life. If you spend most of your time with those who complain, you will learn to complain. You will soon believe running is regular if you surround yourself with those who run from hardship. But if you sit with people who value principle over comfort, discipline over desire, and truth over illusion, you will find no choice but to rise with them. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself each morning that today I will meet the ungrateful, selfish, and deceitful. Yet he chose not to let them corrupt him. He decided to hold to virtue, and at the same time, he sought companions of thought and principle to strengthen his inner resolve. That was how an emperor kept himself from being lost in the storms of power and desire. To surround yourself with strength is not only to find allies, it is also to become a source of strength for others. If you live without discipline, you cannot demand discipline from those around you. You cannot expect integrity from others if you constantly compromise. Your circle is nothing but a mirror of who you are. In practice, building a circle of strength begins with small choices. Stepping away from relationships that bring only negativity, saying no to empty conversations, and seeking out communities, groups, and individuals who live with focus and steadiness. You will see how collective strength can lift you higher than you could reach alone. But remember, the circle of strength does not replace your inner steadiness. It only amplifies it. You must still stand firm even if one day that circle fractures. Ultimately, your consistency, not the crowd, is the proper foundation. And from that consistency rises the following ruthless rule: the discipline of relentless repetition, the power of absolute consistency. Rule 11, the power of absolute consistency. The circle of strength helps you stand firm, but only absolute consistency takes you far. Many begin with blazing fire, only to burn out after weeks or months. They think strength lives in bursts of intensity, but true strength lives in silent repetition, day after day, year after year. Seneca said, "Significant progress does not come from sudden leaps, but from small steps repeated steadily." This is the core of Stoic discipline. No one builds a fortress in a single night. It is laid brick by brick, through days unnoticed by the world. Think of a drop of water falling on a stone. One day, 1 month, nothing changes. But over the years, the stone itself has worn down. That is the power of consistency. It needs no noise, no witness. It is quiet, steady, unstoppable. In life, what does consistency mean? It means writing your journal page even when inspiration fades. It means training your body even when rain falls or your mind resists. It means keeping promises to yourself even when no one will know if you break them. Because each time you keep that promise, you strengthen your trust in yourself. The weak quit when they see no result. The strong understand that results are accumulated. Sometimes you feel like you move backward, but in truth, seeds are sprouting unseen. And one day, looking back, you see an entire forest grown from what once felt like a small seed. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "Advance a little at a time, steady, unmoved, and in the end you will reach the place you must go." That is a reminder that no one can ignore the power of persistence. Consistency is not what you do when things are easy. It is what you do in the darkest days. Look at those you admire. They did not arrive where they are by one burst of brilliance. They came by thousands of days repeated. They did not rely on luck, but on habits carved deep into their lives. Consistency is the bridge between dreams and reality. So, if you want to become the strongest version of yourself, stop seeking instant change. Start accumulating. 1 page of journaling each day, 1 training session each morning, 1 right choice instead of the easy one. These small acts are the metal that forges a mind of steel and a heart unbroken. And when you have absorbed the power of absolute consistency, you are ready to step into the final rule, the art of ruthless focus, where you gather all the strength you have built and direct it toward one aim, one mission, breaking through every obstacle. Rule 12, the art of ruthless focus. After you have forged consistency, it is time to direct all that strength into a single sharp point. The one who scatters energy will always wander in circles, while the one who knows how to focus will move straight to the goal. Epictetus taught, "Do not let 1,000 things pull your mind. Grasp one thing and hold it tight." This is the art of ruthless focus, stripping away what is excess and having only what matters most to your mission. People often fail not because they lack potential, but because they spread themselves too thin. They try a little here and dabble there, but it never lasts long enough for results to take shape. The Stoic practices ruthless focus, knowing what lies within his control and pouring everything into that alone. Picture sunlight spread across the earth. It only warms the ground, but gathered through a lens, it burns steel. Ruthless focus works the same. It transforms your time, discipline, and consistency into a force piercing through every barrier. Focus does not mean doing more. It demands that you dare to give things up. Give up temptation, give up noise, give up relationships and habits that distract you. Keep only what pulls you forward. Seneca warned, "The man who is everywhere is nowhere," a reminder for those who grasp at everything and end with nothing. In daily life, ruthless focus means choosing 3 core values and living or dying by them. It means when 10 opportunities come, you take only one and pour all of yourself into it. It means you have already said no to 100 others when you say yes to one aim. When you learn to focus like this, you no longer feel the need to compete with the world, for the world has no hold on you anymore. You have only one path, and you walk it with the calm and fierceness of a Stoic warrior. And now, looking back at the journey, you will see these 12 ruthless rules are not scattered philosophies, but a complete system. From resilience, discipline, solitude, mastery of energy, fortress of the mind, strength of the body, the art of legacy, command of time, becoming untouchable, surrounding yourself with strength, absolute consistency, and finally ruthless focus, all have come together to form a wall of steel, an inner fortress that nothing can penetrate. We now reflect on the whole picture of these 12 rules and uncover the last message. Becoming your strongest self is not a distant dream, but a choice you repeat daily. One truth stands clear as we reach the end of the 12 ruthless rules. Strength never comes from comfort. It is forged in fire, silence, and your small but steady daily choices. The first rule teaches resilience in adversity. No one grows strong in safety. Then discipline gives us freedom, a paradox only understood by those who dare to live it. The power of solitude reminds us that only in silence can we hear our authentic voice. Commanding energy and building the fortress of the mind show us that not every battle lies outside. Most are fought within. When the body becomes a weapon, we gain the foundation to act. When legacy becomes our compass, we learn that life is not only for the present, but for what outlives us. When we command time, we command life itself. And untouchability appears from that mastery, where no insult, failure, or hardship can break us. The circle of strength reminds us that no one rises alone. Yet even within the group, true power still requires absolute consistency, the quiet repetition that turns small acts into outstanding achievements. Finally, ruthless focus sharpens all of this into a single spearhead, breaking through every barrier and turning potential into reality. From the view of someone who has lived with Stoic philosophy for years, I see these 12 rules not as distant teachings, but as a living system for anyone who wishes to rise above mediocrity. They are not for those who seek the easy road, but for those who face the truth that you must be willing to kill the weaker version within to become the strongest version of yourself. The practical lesson for you is this: choose one rule and begin today. It could be the smallest discipline, writing one line in your journal, running one short lap, saying no to one empty conversation. Step by step, you will build strength, and when you look back, you will see it was not the world that changed, but you who became unbreakable. You have walked with me through 12 ruthless rules to become the strongest version of yourself. But strength does not come from listening or even from knowing. Strength comes when you follow these rules, when they become a habit, and when they become your breath each day. If this message awakened something inside you, share it with someone else. You may be the reason another person rediscovers their lost resilience. And if you wish to continue this journey, subscribe to Sovereign Stoic so you do not miss the lessons of strength, discipline, and inner peace that await. True strength is not found in the outer world, but in the fortress you build within yourself. And from today, you hold in your hands 12 rules to begin.